Hmm. God damn, Jimmy. This some serious gourmet shit. Me and Vincent would have been satisfied with some freeze-dried Taster's Choice, right? And he springs this serious gourmet shit on. What flavor is this?
Okay. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 19 of Tomorrow's Fights podcast. We are a monthly mixed martial arts podcast previewing all of the UFC pay-per-views hosted by martial artists of different backgrounds. I'm your host, Matthew Catalano, purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. With me, as always, the man, the myth, the legend, with a background in kickboxing and Taekwondo. What's up, Matt Smith?
Nothing much. It's been a while. It feels like a while, right?
It does feel like a while. I mean, well, the last fight was what? Derek Lewis, Daniel Cormier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that came out just the way we predicted
it. Yeah, it sure did. All right, so we're here to talk about Max Holloway defending his 145-pound featherweight belt against the undefeated Brian Ortega, and I know we're both very interested in this fight. So overall, besides the main event, card as a whole, how do you judge it? How do you feel?
Dude, this is one of the best cards I've seen in a long time.
I really like it too. I like it.
Like, real good.
I'm pretty down with this card, soup to nuts. I like it, from bottom to top. Yeah, so there's been a lot of MMA recently, especially the UFC has been going every weekend. And, you know, those cards are kind of hit or miss. But after doing the research for this one and after watching a lot of tape on Brian Ortega, which I never get tired of, I can officially say I'm excited for Saturday night. So Saturday night, December 8th, this goes down in Toronto, Ontario. This will be early prelims on Fight Pass, 6:30 p.m. Move to the Fox Sports 1 cable prelims at 8 o'clock. And then the main card is on pay-per-view at 10. So, yeah, what's your excitement level for this?
A solid 9, possibly a 10.
Damn.
It's good. It's good, man.
Now, is that all just Ortega hype, or?
Yeah, mainly that. This is like a big step, though, because if he does this, it's possible that Khabib could be the next fight.
Yeah, if he wins this is like superstar territory. So,
And when we get to the end of this, we'll talk about Ortega kind of wants to go after Khabib, too, so.
Right, yeah,
Or
we'll
the
save that for the news rumors sections, but I saw that as well. All right, so let's jump right into it. The prelims, we are not going to cover every prelim in the interest of time. There are many of them, but we will each pick our most interesting fight on the prelims. That's something that you should not miss. We'll also pick our breakout fighter. That's somebody that with a win could do something big. And then we'll pick our pink slip fighter, somebody who is probably fighting for their job. So, Smith, why don't you start us off? What is your most interesting fight on the prelims? What are you not going to miss?
Probably Claudia. And I'm going to put her as interesting and breakout because I think she could have a title shot with this win. So I'm going to lump both of those together. That's what I'm going to choose.
Yeah, it's
she
funny
looked pretty
because
good last fight. She looked pretty good.
She did, yeah. And this is a tough fight for Ansarov. Well, the funny thing is about the 115-pound division, the women's strawweight, ever since Joanna lost the belt, it's just wide fucking open. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yep.
Like, we've seen Rose get out wrestled before. You don't think Claudia Gadelha could do that to her? I think she could.
Oh yeah.
So for her, it's just a matter of getting there. Like honestly, I think everybody, all the women in the 115-pound division, were very happy to see Joanna lose. I think. I don't know. I think didn't they say Andrade is getting the next shot against Rose? I can't remember if that's coming up or not. But you've got Andrade, you've got Gadelha, you've got Carolina. You know, Carolina beat Rose, so it's just a wide open division now. And of course, Joanna is fighting later up a weight class. We'll get to that later. My most interesting fight on the prelims is going to be Olivier Aubin-Mercier versus Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns is a world-class jiu-jitsu black belt, and Aubin-Mercier is a very talented grappler as well. I think the odds are almost dead even on that fight. So Burns fell in love with his hands a little bit, turned into a bit of a striker, but he's getting back to his grappling roots, and I hope we see it hit the floor with these two. So that's at lightweight. That's actually opening the card on Fox Sports 1 at 8 o'clock. I really like that fight. For breakout fighter, I'm going to go one down on the sort of whatever they call this, the headliner of the Fight Pass. The last one on Fight Pass at light heavyweight, Alexander Rakic whooped the shit out of Justin Ledet last time at 205. Justin Ledet was undefeated at heavyweight and dropped down, and Rakic is just a pure athlete. So I think he's going to absolutely mop the floor with Devin Clark, throw him out of the octagon, what have you. I think he might be the biggest favorite on the card, too. We should probably have the odds up.
What is... Let's see.
Yeah. Okay, check this out. Alexander Rakic is minus 550 against Devin Clark.
Plus 375 for Clark.
Yeah, don't bet on that.
Definitely not.
That's ass-whooping territory. All right, and then pink slip fighter. Who you got?
I think I'm going to have to go with Lima.
Yeah. And I guess we should say these days the UFC isn't as quick triggered in cutting people like they used to be. It's not really.
They signed like a contract for a certain amount of fights, right? So.
And then they let them fight it out. But
yeah.
But what they used to do is if you lose two and they didn't like you, they just sent you packing.
Yeah.
Because they're independent contractors.
Look at what they're doing to. What is it? 115 for the dudes or 125? What is it?
125. Yeah,
excuse me.
We'll save that for the news section.
Because I'm pretty sure they all have contracts, and they're all probably going to get the boot. So. Well,
that's the thing. When you're an independent contractor, you can just be fired at any time, and that's why, we could just go down the rabbit hole of why there's not a union and all of that type of crap, but. It seems that they've been honoring the contracts a little more lately. So if they sign you for a 3-fight contract, even if you lose all 3, they'll just let you fight it out, and then they won't re-sign you. So I don't know what type of contract Diego Lima has, but he's on a 3-fight losing streak, and he's just having a lot of trouble. And Chad Laprise is not a gimme fighter for him at all. He's just not. I mean, I think Chad Laprise is going to win that fight, and that's going to be the last time we see Diego Lima, which is a shame because he just can't replicate the same success that his brother has in Bellator. He just can't do it. Okay. That's it for the prelims. Honestly, the prelims are really good too. Like you got Brad Katona, who is the winner of Tough 27 at featherweight. He's dropping to bantamweight, his natural weight class, taking on Matthew Lopez. You got Alexander Rakic, like we just said. Then once you move to Fox Sports 1, you've got the Gilbert Burns fight. You've got Eric Anders going back down to middleweight fighting Elias Theodoro. Jessica Ai is finally on a winning streak, taking on Caitlin Chukagian. And then topping off the Fox Sports 1 prelims, you've got Gedalia and Ansarov. Ansarov, honestly, she's another one that you could throw out there as breakout fighter. She's on a 3-fight win streak, beating good fighters, Angela Hill, who's the other one? Angela Magdana? No. I have to look this up. I can't forget this. Randa Marcos. That's right. She beat Randa Marcos last time, so she's on a 3-fight win streak, and she's been saying that she's the next big thing at 115. Well, she's finally getting her first contender fight at 115. She's getting Gedalia, and that is a tough gate to pass. Very tough. So, yeah, I really like the prelims. I like it. I like this card top to bottom, like we said.
It's solid. It's definitely solid.
Anything else on the prelims before we move on to the main card, the meat?
No, let's go to the meat and potatoes.
Meat and potatoes. Okay. Main card starts at 10 p.m. on pay-per-view. Opens up in a light heavyweight bout between Jimmy Manuwa and Thiago Santos. So Jimmy Manuwa is 17-4. Thiago Santos, coming up from middleweight, is 19-6. Smith, start us off. Who you got?
Who do I got for this? I don't know, man. You know what? I'm gonna save it, dude. I'm gonna let you go. And
Okay.
I'm gonna hear your opinion, and then I'm gonna make a decision.
Yeah, I think this is a fun fight. I mean, neither of these guys are. Well, I shouldn't say super reliable, but regardless, this is going to be a fun fight. This is going to be a banger to open up the pay-per-view card. Jimmy Manuwa, I love his game. I love his boxing game. Crisp, powerful striker. The thing is, he does not look good when he gets hurt. Doesn't cover up well. Doesn't take damage well. Doesn't react to getting hit well. I think at this point in his career, Manuwa is kind of facing a little bit of a durability issue. He's had a lot of miles on him now. He's getting older. He's turning into a little bit of a glass cannon. Santos, on the other hand, he's proven to be very durable.
And you have this as the opener of the pay-per-view?
Yeah, why? Does it look different on different...
Yeah, I have it as the third fight. But that's all right.
On what, UFC's website?
I believe so, yeah, on their lineup.
So on Wikipedia, it has it opening the card, but I could be wrong.
They have Hakeem and Kyle opening the card on. Doesn't make a difference. People still get the gist of it.
I don't know. I guess we'll see. But yeah, these are two offense-first fighters, which is great. This is going to be, for what I think, it's probably going to be a kickboxing match. At kicking range.
And this is why it's really hard for me to actually make a decision on this, because both of them just even though some of them have Santos is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but
he doesn't use it.
Yeah. So this is one of those things where I don't like to. I don't want to have to bet on somebody where it's just going to end up a brawl, and whoever gets clipped is where the fight ends.
Yeah,
but if I had to take somebody, I was going to go with Santos.
Yeah, so that could totally happen, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think this is going to be a brawl, and that's why, if it is the opener, I thought that was why they would put it there. But like I said, Manuwa's boxing is really fun, hits really hard, and when he's controlling the pace, when he's controlling the distance, looks great. He looks fucking great. But at kicking range, that's going to be Santos's game. Even coming up from middleweight, he might be a little bit undersized, but he's still going to have the kicking game on Manuwa. I kind of see just Manuwa getting hurt and crumbled by Santos. I do see a finish. And the only thing inside the pocket that I will give to Santos is he throws a little bit straighter punches, even if he doesn't hit as hard as Manuwa does. Jimmy Manuwa gets a little wild, wings some home run hooks in there, which leads to a ton of his knockouts. But against a straighter puncher, straight punches always land before their windmill counterparts. So I'm taking Santos. I think it's a finish.
That's what I'm thinking.
If it's not a finish, then somebody's taking a lot of damage.
You know what I found really interesting? Is all of these fighters, one of them is coming off a win and the other one's coming off a loss, except for the main event.
In all four of the other main card fights?
Yeah. I thought that was very interesting.
Emmanuel's coming off a loss to Jan Blachowicz.
Actually, he's coming off 2 losses.
That's right. And Thiago Santos is coming off a win from Eric Anders, who is fighting on the prelims. Okay, so 2 picks for Santos there. What are the odds?
The odds, let's see. Got this up. So you got me all out of whack right now, dude, because I thought we were going in a different order.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess it could be, but this is what Wikipedia has.
So Manuwa at plus 175, Santos at minus 225.
Yeah, that sounds right. I'm good with that. Manuwa is, like I said, I think he's having some durability issues. He's coming off a 2-fight losing streak. When he gets in there with a slightly fundamental striker that's just a little tighter than he has lots of problems.
I would agree. Okay,
so that brings us to, from what I'm looking at, featherweight. Featherweight's Hakeem. Now, this is how it's pronounced, because I know there's going to be questions about this. Hakeem Dawodu. Dawodu. I think that's it. I heard Bruce Buffer say it a couple times. It's Hakeem Dawodu.
I'm just going to call him Hakeem.
Well, I thought it was Dawodu, but it's not. It's actually Dawodu. So you pronounce it like that, like a D-O-W. Anyways, Hakeem Dawodu comes in at 8-1, and he's taking on Kyle Bochniak, who comes in at 8-3. And okay, this is me.
Yep.
Yeah, so I kind of thought, like, why is this on the main card? There's a lot of other fights that could be here, but Hakeem Dawodu is fighting out of Calgary, Canada, and this takes place in Canada, so that's part of the reason. He's like he's really popular in Canada as this hyped up prospect. He was 7-0 coming into the UFC, and he kind of got like insta submitted in his last fight against Danny Henry. He got power guillotined in like 39 seconds. So, it's a prospect loss. It happens. Then he came back against Austin Arnett, very tall featherweight, and he put on a good, patient kickboxing display against him, and he won, from what I could tell, was all 3 rounds. I thought it was all 3 rounds. He's a very patient kickboxer. If you give him his fight and his space, he'll pressure, and he throws a lot of leg kicks. So he'll start off the fight sort of like with an investment in leg kicks. He wants to take away your movement in the first round. And that's what he's done in a lot of his fights. He did that against Austin Arnett. He's got pretty good defensive wrestling, does Dawodu. Kyle Bochniak, on the other hand, bounces around, in and out. He's a very in and out striker, not a pressure fighter. I know he's coming off the loss to Khabib Magomed Sharapov, but he's one of the top prospects at 145. Bochniak, against all his other fighters, especially like Brandon Davis, who's another just straight up boxer, he kind of just bounced in and out and took him apart from there. Wrestles a little bit, but he's not the type of pressure fighter that I feel breaks down Dawodu's game. And I do think Dawodu responds very poorly to pressure. When you're not giving him his space, he can't work around that. He can't fight off his back foot. The problem is Bochniak doesn't do that. He doesn't pressure. Yep. He's an in-and-out fighter. He bounces around. He's on his bike a lot of the times. He's setting stuff up for him, trying to draw you in. The other thing that is making me have a lot of trouble picking Bochniak is he's very susceptible to leg kicks. And that's one of the things that Hakeem Dawodu does best in the first 5 minutes.
Yep.
So I think he's going to light him up.
He comes from a Muay Thai kickboxing background, so it's just going to be constant pressure moving forward. That's what you do. Like, when you watch Muay Thai fighters, that's all they're doing.
And that's what he does. That's what he tries to do. And Bochniak is not going to make him pay for that, I don't think. I do think Bochniak is a great test for him.
Yeah.
What is
it? I think I have him down. Let's see. He's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. So
who is Bochniak?
Bochniak, yeah.
Yeah, so let's see if he uses it. But again,
that's the question. He does have a couple wins, doesn't he? By submission.
Possibly.
Yeah, Taylor Trahan submission rear naked choke. He got a win on in his first ever fight at the pro, submission rear naked choke. So he has 2 rear naked chokes.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have trouble taking Dawodu down though, who is a much superior athlete than Bochniak is.
I agree with you 100%.
So yeah, I'm taking Dawodu by maybe 2 rounds to 1, close decision. Not anything spectacular. I actually think this fight's going to be a little boring, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I wanted to pick Bochniak. I thought I was going to pick Bochniak just glancing at this fight before I really dug into it, and I just can't do it. He doesn't capitalize on the things that give Dawodu trouble. He just doesn't.
And the problem with me when I look at this fight is when I think of Hakeem, I think if it goes the distance, Hakeem wins anyways, just because he's going to be putting the pressure on and scoring points. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So,
no, I agree.
Honestly, that's why I'm going to pick Hakeem. I think that's where it's going to go. I don't think this is going to the ground. I think this is going to end up kind of a boring fight.
I think it's going to be a tit for tat kickboxing match. All right, well, unanimous for us for Dawodu with a little bit of reservation. What are the odds? I think this has got to be close, right?
Hakeem is minus 185. Kyle is plus 150.
Very close. That's good. I like that. It's basically even.
Yeah.
I mean, Dawodu is so untested that I also wouldn't be surprised if he just gets, if he just has a huge limitation against someone that just has more skill and experience than him in Bochniak. All right, moving right along to the center of the card, the middle fight at welterweight. Alex Oliveira takes on Gunnar Nelson. Alex Cowboy Oliveira, he is moving up from welterweight. Most of his fights are at welterweight. He tried to cut to 155, missed weight a couple times. Pretty big guy. I'm amazed that he even made 156 or whatever the hell that was. But Alex Oliveira, I believe he's like 19 and 5. He's taking on Gunnar Nelson, who is 16 and 3. Gunnar Nelson, of course, I believe he's from Iceland. He is the Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Was a bit of a prodigy, undefeated prospect until he met Rick Story there. But yeah, this is you. Who you got?
Who do I got for this? Man, I really haven't made up my mind for a lot of these fights. I was kind of hoping I'd hear you.
You're surprised every time I ask you that, as if we're not like recording a podcast about breaking down this card.
Yeah, you know what's funny though? It's like I thought because it was just going to be you and I could hear your opinion on things and then kind of tweak how I was going to go into this. But I don't know, man.
Oh yeah, I guess we forgot to say that. But our third, Matt Branscombe, cannot be here tonight, so that's why it's just us two. Had a little bit of some last minute things going on, so he'll be back for the next card. But yeah, so you just got Matt squared tonight, not Matt cubed.
All right, so if I had to choose a fighter for this fight, it could go either way for me, but I'm going to have to say Gunnar Nelson. I think he's just better on the ground, and I think on the stand-up he can do enough to actually win this fight.
Yeah, definitely better on the ground. So Gunnar Nelson... All right, so his jiu-jitsu, it's kind of hard to like rate these guys who are a step under the best. So Gunnar Nelson's jiu-jitsu is like right under the Damian Maia, Jacare Verdum's. Like those three are like the top-notch best in MMA. Then you've got under them is your Gunnar Nelson's. I'm trying to think of some other examples that would fall like right under those guys.
And like to me, he's such a big dude, and I was surprised also to see him cut down this weight. You know what I mean? For him to do the wrestling and the ground game, like he should have really good control. If this does go to the ground,
he does.
Finished.
Yeah, he does have good control. I actually think he's going to be undersized here against Oliveira, though. Like he doesn't cut that much weight to 170, even though he's a very like wide, stocky guy. Mm-hmm. But I actually think if Gunnar Nelson
look at
wanted
DC,
to,
though, although DC's fucking huge, but he's pretty wide, man. That's like great for wrestlers to be like wide. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Gunnar Nelson on this one.
Yeah. So, all right. So Gunnar Nelson's what has he done? He's won silver. He's won a silver medal at the Mundials at brown belt in 2009. He's also taken gold at the Pan Ams in gi and no gi in 2009. So just to continue off my notes of why Gunnar Nelson is a solid jiu-jitsu guy. That being said, Alex Oliveira, very, very, very powerful striker, very long fighter. He's got devastating kicks, body kicks. He actually gets a lot of takedowns in his fights, which is kind of strange for a Muay Thai guy. I don't think he's going to be taking Gunnar Nelson down. I don't think he wants any part of the ground game. I think he'll be outmatched pretty handily on the ground by Gunnar Nelson. So I don't think you'll see any of the wrestling from Oliveira that you usually do. That being said, yeah, Gunnar Nelson on the feet, kind of a weird herky-jerky karate wide stance style guy. Like he gets it done, but I can't unsee the Ponzinibbio fight. You know what I mean? Like where he's coming in, he gets hurt, he's kind of searching for something to close the distance, and he just can't find it. Like, I think he's going to get hurt eventually coming in. I see Gunnar Nelson searching for the takedown, getting defended, knee to the body, and then just getting blitzed against the fence. I hate to say it because I like Gunnar Nelson. I want to see him do well. I just don't like that they're giving him these devastating strikers. I mean, I guess he's not a prospect anymore. Like you got to sink or swim, right? So what are you going to do? But yeah, I'm actually taking. I'm going to take Oliveira. I think he's gonna defend the takedowns. I think he's gonna weather the storm. And when Gunnar Nelson gets hurt, I don't see him able to close the distance, and wrestle Oliveira in any type of emergency takedown way.
It could happen.
Yeah. What are the odds on that fight?
Let's take a look. We have plus 110 Oliveira, and Nelson at minus 140.
Damn, so Nelson's the favorite. I didn't really expect that. All right.
It is pretty close, though, those odds.
Yeah, that's basically.
You know what I mean? It's pretty much a wash.
All right, well, here we go. It's time to get into the juice of this card.
Oh boy.
Moving on in our first of two title fights tonight. In the women's flyweight division, we have Valentina Shevchenko coming in at 15-3, taking on Joanna Jedrzejczyk coming in at 15-2. So this is for the vacant flyweight women's title. So that's the 125-pound title. Valentina is coming down from 135, and Joanna is going up from 115. Valentina has fought at 125 before. Her last fight was against Priscilla Cachoeira at 125, where she absolutely murdered her. And Joanna is coming off the decision loss to Rose Namajunas, which was for the strawweight title. So the women's flyweight division was opened about a year ago. They had a Ultimate Fighter tournament for it. Who won that? Nico Montoya, right? Yeah. Nico Montaño. It doesn't matter. She got stripped anyways. Anyway, so the vacant women's flyweight title is being contested. This is me, I believe. Okay. So I'm excited for this fight. I think a lot of people are excited for this fight. I think it's going to be closer than a lot of people think it is. I know Valentina has those Muay Thai wins over her. I know she's a big favorite. I think people are assuming she's going to wipe the floor with Joanna. While I don't totally disagree with that narrative, I'm not endorsing it completely. I think this fight is a lot closer than that due to Shevchenko's defensive habits and Joanna's volume.
Yeah.
All right, first thing I want to address is those Muay Thai fights, because I know everybody talks about these, and I doubt anybody's actually watched them. So I made it a point to go dig up those highlights.
Yeah.
And, here's what happened in those fights. So Valentina and Joanna have fought 3 times before in amateur Muay Thai. They fought in 2006, 2007, and 2008. In 2006 and 2007, Shevchenko beat her in the quarterfinals of the IFMA, which is the International Federation of Muay Thai Amateurs. And then in 2008, she beat her in the finals. So they literally fought every year for 3 years, and Valentina beat her every time. But what these fights look like, they're heavily padded up with full body gear, head gear, big gloves, and essentially, if you watch these, the last and third fight was closer than the first two. By the way, all these fights look like they're in a high school cafeteria, except for the last one. The last one does look like it's in some sort of stadium, except at the end of it, it pans up into the audience, not a soul in a chair, completely empty. They're just fighting in the zombie apocalypse, and there's just nobody there. Anyways, okay. So, yeah, a lot of these fights just look like Valentina kind of bullying Joanna. Neither of them look like they're fighting anything that is reminiscent of their styles in mixed martial arts. There's a lot of clinching and, trip takedowns. Valentina catches her kicks and takes her down, every 5 seconds, and then they just start them up again. And that happens in all the fights. I don't know. My point is, I don't think there's a lot to take away from those. It happened 10 years ago under amateur Muay Thai rules. I don't think those fights matter. So just to dispel that rumor real quick. Anyways, all right, that being said, Joanna is a much higher volume striker. She's got a wide stance. She kind of measures with her jab. That's what we saw in the Rose Namajunas fights. She throws a lot of inside leg kicks, outside leg kicks, and she scores points with those. And I think she'll score points with those against Valentina, too. Valentina, on the other hand, she's very defensive, especially in that last Amanda Nunes fight. It was honestly hard to watch those first 10 minutes. Jesus Christ. She threw 3 strikes. But
But
she
it
waits
did go
for
to a split decision.
Yeah, it did. But, for seeing how bent out of shape Valentina was for losing that, it's like, I mean, for half that fight, you did almost nothing. It's just frustrating.
Yeah.
It's incredibly frustrating to watch her when you know that she has an ability to win those exchanges. She's just not aggressive. So what Valentina likes to do is she waits for you to come in. She's got that high Muay Thai guard, and she just thunders hooks right into you, counter hooks all day. She has a couple, outside check leg kicks, throw some good body kicks, but she wants you to come to her. She wants you to come inside so she can blitz you with counter hooks. That's what she did to Holly Holm. That's what she did in the first and second Amanda Nunes fights in the rounds that she did win. And on the inside, that's where Joanna got tore up in that Rose Namajunas fight, in both those Namajunas fights. You could tell that Namajunas' timing and sense of distance was really frustrating her. But again, the rounds that Joanna did win was when she's on her bike, leg kick, leg kick, leg kick. She was beating up Rose's leg that whole time. She's good with her jab, and she, when she follows it up with her straight right and gets in and out, she's winning those exchanges. It's just when she spends too much time in the pocket does she get hit coming out. She got hit by Rose, and Valentina she's gonna tear her apart on the inside whenever Joanna comes in. But I wouldn't be surprised if this fight starts up and Joanna takes the first round. Like just on her bike, outside, leg kick, jab, and Valentina is just not committing to anything, and she's not an aggressive fighter. So I wouldn't be surprised if Joanna goes in there and wins the first round, has some success in spots, but ultimately, once she gets inside, she's going to get eaten alive by the hooks and counter left and right hooks by Valentina Shevchenko. If this gets put into the clinch, Shevchenko is going to tear her apart there. She's got better grappling. I know that Joanna has good defensive wrestling, but you're talking about Shevchenko fighting girls like Amanda Nunes, and then you're talking about Joanna fighting girls 20 pounds lighter or more. There's going to be... I know that Shevchenko doesn't cut a lot of weight, but there's going to be a strength disadvantage in the clinch. A huge one. I mean, Shevchenko just took Holly Holm to school in the clinch. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Honestly, that's my biggest concern about this is she's like used to fighting now fighters at 135. Amanda Nunes is probably arguably one of the... She could possibly take out what's-her-face at 145.
She's fighting Cyborg next.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, this girl is legit. She's top of the women's division. You know what I mean? At 135.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest thing is, can Joanna really actually compete against Schevchenko? I don't know, man. I feel like there is going to be a huge strength disadvantage there.
Mm-hmm.
When someone's used to fighting people of that caliber up a weight division, 20 pounds from where Joanna is, that's got to be a disadvantage to Joanna.
Well, I would say that Joanna's team... I'm really curious to see like what game plan they've erected for this, because that she doesn't want to be inside with Valentina, right?
No way. She'll get manhandled.
It'll exactly. So I'm sure that they're... I mean, if I'm Joanna, I guess I'm just leg kicking and jabbing and running away.
That's what I would think. Like that would have to be the game plan. They have to stay on the outside and just score points.
Right. But I just don't think you can do that for 25 minutes against Shevchenko.
Yeah, because eventually she's going to get into her groove, and that's when it's going to start to not look pretty.
God, could you imagine, though, if Shevchenko just waits the whole fight?
But I don't know, though. Like, we haven't seen Joanna at 125, right? So
I know, but like
that's the weird thing about this whole thing.
But like with how passive Shevchenko is, would you be so surprised if Joanna just leg kicked and jabbed her way to a decision here in an awful fight?
It's possible. You got to remember too, Joanna was a champion in the UFC. She has obviously fight IQ. She knows what she's doing. She might be able to get those first two rounds and then make like a squirrely third, fourth round. Who knows, man?
Right, pick up like a weird fourth round just with volume, and then have this like goofy split decision where like not a lot happened, and then Valentina is like, "Oh my God, come on, look at her face."
The weird thing about this whole thing is the fact that Valentina, I'll call her, can't really pronounce her last name. She's actually 1 inch shorter than Joanna. But she looks so much bigger, I feel
Yeah.
like, when fighting
She's
all these
thicker.
other... You know what I mean?
She looks like a strong girl.
Yes. And
Joanna looks thin and petite.
looks very thin. And I don't know if that plays a role. But Valentina is used to fighting bigger fighters.
Oh, I think in the clinch it definitely plays a role. You know? And in all of them...
Actually, if you want to go back to those Muay Thai days.
Yeah, the Muay Thai fights, those fucking shitty amateur Muay Thai fights. To be honest, like, that's the reason why Valentina won. She just bullied her and threw her around.
She kept doing those leg sweeps, throwing her on her back.
Did you watch those highlights I sent you? Yeah, it's just like, I mean, it just looks...
We can't base it off that, though. We really can't.
No, it's almost...
Honestly, it could end up like that, though, just because in the clinch it could be that same scenario.
But if it gets to the clinch, that means that Shevchenko is aggressing, and she just doesn't do that. But I gotta think that Shevchenko has a game plan that's not based on just waiting and being better in the pocket.
Yeah.
Like, you can't... I mean, we've already seen against Amanda Nunes, like, look, if you just do nothing for 25 minutes and you let someone come to you, that's not a good game plan. That's not a path to victory. And judges don't like that either. It's very hard to win rounds on the judges' scorecards like that.
I think that being said, close fight though, for some reason.
Right. I think it's going to be much, much closer than people think it is. People think that, they hear the 3 fights that Shevchenko won against Joanna. By the way, those were all at 125. By the way, they were all at 57 kilograms, which is 125 pounds. So just in case people were wondering what weight those were at, that's what it is. People hear those fights and they think, well, Shevchenko beat her in Muay Thai 3 times and she's bigger, so she's just like a bigger version of Joanna. She's not. She's not just a bigger version of Joanna. They're completely different fighters. And the things that Joanna does well could give Shevchenko problems. But the things that Shevchenko does well, especially in the clinch, gives Joanna problems. What?
Who do you think adapts better? Because it might come down to that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go with Joanna on that, dude.
Yeah, neither of them adapt very well.
But at least Joanna's like, she's been a champ, dude. She knows.
Well, she's overcome... She overcame some adversity in that second Rose fight. Remember when she lost the first 2 rounds and then she picked up...
Honestly, she looked a lot better in the second one. A lot better.
Well, yeah, because she didn't get knocked out in the first round.
Yeah, but it felt like she actually studied who she was fighting.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. And she fought back from adversity. She lost those first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And then she won rounds 3 and 4. So, yeah, I mean, we know that Joanna is tough. I just think that when it comes down to it, there's too much in favor of Shevchenko in this fight for me. Yeah. And I don't think it's likely, although it's possible, I don't think it's likely that Joanna wins 3 out of 5 rounds just with a jab and a leg kick. I don't think, I just can't imagine
it's just a terrible game plan, too.
That happen. Right. Even if Shevchenko has to be the aggressor, I think she can do it. I think she can shove Joanna against the cage and just win points there. You know, I gotta believe that her corner is going to be able to help. And here's the thing, like,
if she does lose those first 2 rounds because she's playing it safe, she's waiting for Joanna to come in, her corner is eventually going to be like, you're fucking losing.
You would hope, right? You would hope.
That makes sense to me. You know, all she has to do is put her against the cage once, and I think this is a completely different fight.
Right. So you would hope that she makes that realization. You'd hope that she's recognized that before the fight even starts, you know.
Yeah.
So because of that, I have to pick Shevchenko. There's just too many things in favor of her to really blow this. But it's a lot closer than people think. Okay, what are the odds?
I'm definitely going with Valentina also. So it is minus 360 for Valentina, and Joanna is plus 270. Seems about right.
See, those are so wide, you know.
Honestly, I don't know, man. If she comes up with a good game plan, Valentina, I think she can end this fight pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, those odds are just ridiculous, though. I think that's people betting up Valentina, and like I said, the Muay Thai fights, which were essentially discounting, but
yeah,
whatever. Okay, that brings us to the main event at featherweight. Max Holloway defends his belt against the undefeated Brian Ortega. Max Holloway, the champion, comes in at 19-3 and is taking on the challenger, Brian T. City Ortega, who comes in undefeated at 14-0. Okay, before we talk about this, I think we should address what has happened with Max Holloway in the last year.
Like his health shit, or?
Yeah.
Right.
So Holloway's last 2 fights, remember, were 2 TKOs of Jose Aldo, which is still just so crazy when you go and look at Holloway's record and see 2 back-to-back knockouts of Jose Aldo's. It's still fucking surreal to me. So anyways, that last fight, Max Holloway was last in the octagon pretty much exactly a year ago, December 2nd, 2017. Okay, so after he beat Aldo there, Holloway was expected to face Frankie Edgar on December 2nd. No, that's where Jose Aldo came in. He beat him. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in 2018, the bout with Edgar was rescheduled and was expected to take place on March 3rd at UFC 222. However, it was announced that Holloway had to pull out of the fight due to injury. On April 1st, 2018, Holloway was announced as a late replacement for the injured Tony Ferguson in a fight for the vacant, undisputed UFC lightweight championship, so 10 pounds up, at UFC 223 against Khabib Nurmagomedov. Now, this is the famous buses incident where we lost a ton of those fights. Now, if victorious, Holloway would be only the second fighter behind Conor McGregor in the UFC to hold 2 titles in 2 different weight divisions simultaneously.
Till DC came along.
Right. Holloway, who had no fight scheduled and was not in training camp, accepted the fight on only 6 days' notice. Now, again, it was still at 155, so 10 pounds up from his natural weight class, but he wasn't even in training camp, and he had 6 days. So the big question is, what the fuck did he weigh at the point when he accepted that fight? Nobody knows, but it's rumored that he may have been as heavy as 180 pounds.
Woo!
Okay. On April 6th, as he was due to weigh in, Holloway was pulled from the card by the famous New York State Athletic Commission doctors due to the severity of his short-notice weight cut. The bout continued with Ali Aquinta as a late-minute replacement. We all know what happened to that. Okay.
Actually, you know what, though? You know what's weird about that fight that we never really discussed? The Ali Aquinta thing? I'm just bringing this up right now. I actually preferred watching that versus Khabib than a late notice Holloway. You know what I mean?
I just don't know what he would have looked like. I mean, it's impossible to know.
Yeah, but it might have not been good.
I mean, and the doctors didn't think it was good.
So
they said get the fuck out.
So this is not even the incident where
that's coming up.
Okay, all right,
okay.
Get to it.
So after that, Holloway was pulled from the card. Apparently the long and short of it was the New York Athletic State Commission doctors really didn't like how much weight he was cutting, how fast he was cutting it, and we really don't know the specifics of this, but allegedly at some point they probably just came in and were like, yo, you guys fucking stop. No way. You don't look good. Anyways, Holloway was then scheduled to defend his UFC Featherweight Championship title on July 7th, 2018 at UFC 226 against Brian Ortega, which is happening now. However, on July 4th, Holloway was pulled from the fight due to concussion-like symptoms, as I say with air quotes, because this has really never been explained. But do you remember the famous Bisping interview with him? Holloway has this like very droopy face, looks very tired, and he's on like UFC.
A stroke or something.
Yes. Yeah. He really did look like he was having a stroke. Like half his face was droopy, and he was doing an interview with Bisping, and Bisping was like, "Dude, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, you look like you're half asleep." And Holloway was just kind of giving answers back 50%. Very, very strange. Then at the open workouts, he looked super lethargic. His team said he was like sleeping for like 12 hours a day, like just wouldn't get up. And then they were just like, "No, we're fucking calling it. Like something weird is happening."
Maybe he's having trouble cutting weight, dude.
Well, to this day, people still don't know what happened. No one knows. But as to the weight cutting thing, Holloway and his team have said that it wasn't due to the weight cut, that he didn't even start his weight cut yet, because it was like 4 days before the fight, or 4 or 5 days before the fight. Which still, he probably started something, but
He should have, right?
right. And a lot of people are thinking that he was concussed. A lot of people are thinking that it was a stroke due to concussions. So what the UFC did for this card is they gave Max Holloway some extra medical procedures. Maybe the UFC didn't do it. Maybe the Toronto Athletic Commission did it. I don't know. Doesn't matter. And he passed them all. And when asked about it, Max Holloway says, we still don't know what happened. We're investigating some things. All I'm going to say is, like, watch what you do when you experiment with stuff, because weird shit can happen. And it's like, whoa, what are you talking about there? So a lot of people are suspecting or speculating that maybe it was a food poisoning type of thing. Maybe he ate something weird. Maybe he took, like, some weird fucking pill, some weird fucking drug. Like, nobody knows. But I don't think it was the weight cut. And I don't know. All things to me, it really just looks like it was a concussion that led to a stroke, I think. Just speculating from what I've seen of other people. But here we are today, UFC 231. We're finally getting the Max Holloway, Brian Ortega fight. Finally.
They did put a backup fighter for this event.
Oh, is it Moicano, right?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, because he was supposed to fight Bektic, right?
I don't know, but they definitely had a backup fighter just in case due to the last fucking event with Holloway.
Wait, let me see. Okay, yeah, here we go. A featherweight bout between Renato Moicano and Mirsad Bektic was expected to take place at the event. However, Bektic was forced out due to an undisclosed injury. In turn, Moicano is not expected to compete and will instead serve as a replacement option in the event that one of the headlining participants is unable to fight. So there you go. Yeah, you're right.
What's interesting, too, didn't Ortega say, like, no matter what, I'm walking out of there with the belt? So, or some shit like that?
Oh, you think, like, if Max doesn't make it... Well, yeah, if Max doesn't make it, Ortega and Moicano will probably fight for, like, an interim title, you know?
It sounded differently to me, like he was getting the real belt type deal. You know what I'm saying? Not this interim shit. Who knows, man? Like, you at some point, like, what if Holloway has another medical thing? At some point, the UFC's got to be like, maybe he needs to pursue, like, finding out what's happening to him before he starts fighting again. You know what I'm saying?
I know, it is weird, but he got some extra tests and he passed them all, so, like, what do you want to do?
I don't know. Well, let's hope this goes through because I think this is going to be a badass fight. I think this is actually going to be a really good test for Ortega, and I think it's actually a good matchup. Yeah,
why don't you start us off? What do you think? I know you
so
are very interested.
So I'm going to start it off right now, Team Ortega. You know what I'm saying? No, he honestly, when you go back, everybody who listens to this podcast should go back and just watch the highlights of Ortega. Some of the most entertaining fights you'll ever watch in your life. And I see this kid as doing big things in the UFC, like no other fighter we've seen in a long time. Like, you want to put Conor McGregor up there, I'm talking like GSP status. You know what I'm saying? So this is his biggest test. If he can get through Holloway, I think we're going to see someone going for a second belt. It's possible that he could even get that second belt. This kid is so damn good at submissions. It's unreal. Even his stand-up is not that bad. He clips people doing some wild uppercuts, man, and puts people out. So I think for someone like Max Holloway, he's got to be careful because he pressures a lot going forward, and Ortega loves that shit. He'll go right to his back. He will throw an uppercut. Anybody who pressures him like that, it doesn't end well for them. So I don't know. We'll have to see.
Well, it's funny because, like, you say that about the pressure, and I think the funniest thing about Ortega to me is that he's so calm in there. Exactly. He's cool as a cucumber, man. And I think the fact that he's not worried about people getting close to him, people wrestling him, people taking him down, it gives him this another level of confidence to his striking where he's just moving, like, so freely in the octagon because he, like, doesn't give a fuck if you clinch with him.
You watch a lot of fighters, dude, like, when people are first starting out, like, say, like, any combat sport, like, say they're going to the boxing. When punches are coming at them, they start to flinch, their eyes close, and everything else. when the more relaxed you are, the better you can be on the defense.
And
You see
Ortega
things coming, you can react to them better. You know what I mean? And that's what Ortega has.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And he reacts so well to damage, basically with no reaction. The only problem I have with Ortega is striking right now, and it's getting better every time.
Yeah.
That's why it's so interesting to watch him develop.
He can be better defensive, like with his hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the only thing. So like what he likes to do is he's gotten so much better with his jab. He like triples up on his jab, doubles up on his jab, but sometimes he doesn't follow it up with anything behind it. So he'll go into the pocket. He'll measure the distance and sort of like explore the pocket with his jab, but then he doesn't follow it up with a right hand, and he stays there. So he starts to eat a couple hooks from whoever he's fighting, Moicano, Cub Swanson, Frankie Edgar, and then he retreats. And in the judge's eyes, they think, well, okay, he lost that exchange.
And that's when he's in there, and if he's going to take some shots, he needs to cover up a little bit better.
Yeah,
eventually he is going to get, you know what I mean?
Right. So the problem here, this is why this fight is so interesting, right? Is because you have him landing some good jabs on Frankie Edgar, stepping into the pocket, getting caught with the hook, stepping back, and then reassessing the situation and changing his attack next time. Well, Max Holloway is going to be able to do the same thing, right? He's going to be able to land those hooks in the pocket, those counter hooks against Ortega, and he's going to be able to do it from a footstep back from where Frankie Edgar was in terms of reach. And Ortega is a huge, huge featherweight. Like, go back and watch that Frankie Edgar fight. He looks twice the size of him. But Max Holloway is big too. Actually, what are their reaches now that we're talking about
69 inches on Ortega, and Holloway is 69 inches.
Okay, so Daddy,
Holloway he's
taller, right?
Yeah, he's 3 inches taller.
Ortega looks stronger though. He's like more filled out. He's a big featherweight.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting about Ortega when you look at his body type though? He doesn't look like amazingly athletic or ripped or anything like that. No. He just kind of almost looks like a toned average Joe, bro. Just
he
ready
looks
to
like
go.
He looks like some surfer dude, and that's exactly what he is.
So
he's just some sleep on the mat hobo surfer dude. That's what Ortega is. just like, but don't make no mistake. He's got some killer fucking instinct too.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he really, really does. He can do all that, like, thank Jesus Christ and the Lord after my win bullshit, but he's got some savage intentions when he's in there. He's a finisher, for sure. That's the other thing we got to talk about, before I really, like, dig into this breakdown. But a lot of people say that, this is the narrative of Brian Ortega. They say, well, he's basically been losing every fight he's been in until he's won. Let me dispel that rumor just a little bit, okay? Actually, I have to bring up his Wikipedia page to watch this because I was a little late to our podcast today because I was watching like literally every single Brian Ortega fight because it's just so fun to watch this dude compete. Okay, so he comes in the UFC, fights Mike Della Torre. He wins that fight in the first round, so you can't say anything to that. Then he fights Thiago Tavares, which, like, what a fucking step up in competition, dude. I just can't believe this in his 9th fight. So he fights Thiago Tavares, wins the first round, mounts him, busts him up with an elbow, loses the second round, and then in the third round, it was basically even. So they were in an even fight, and then Ortega finished him. So he wasn't losing that fight before he won. Then you got the Diego Brandao fight. I was scoring that for Ortega as well. Then you got the Clay Guida fight. Dude, okay, he was losing out.
But to knock out Clay Guida, that's pretty badass, bro.
Yeah, I mean, especially 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But the Clay Guida fight, he was losing for sure. Okay, and then he knocks him out with a knee in the last 20 seconds. Okay, that was weird. I agree. I'll give you that, guys. That was fucking weird. Then you got the Renato and Moicano fight. I gave the first round to Ortega. I gave the second round to Moicano. And the third round was anyone's game until Moicano shot in with a stupid-ass takedown and got choked out in like 5 seconds. I don't know why he did that. Then you got the Cub Swanson fight. First round, yes, I gave to Cub Swanson. Second round, it was anybody's game, and then he finished him. First round, Frankie Edgar. Was he losing the exchanges? Yes, he was, barely. But then he started turning on the pressure, Then he hit him with the elbow and knocked him out. So what are you going to say? So I think that whole narrative of he was losing all his fights till he won, I think it comes from the fact that he finished 3 fights in a row in the 3rd round, and that's fucking weird. That's where that comes from. So he was not losing all of those fights before he won. The thing I really wish we got to see is I wish the Frankie Edgar fight went longer, because like we said, Ortega's striking gets better and better and better every fight. Yep. And, I really wish that the Edgar fight went longer than 4 minutes so we could have seen what else he could do there. Because it makes this Max Holloway fight really hard to pick apart now. Because I don't know if Ortega is short up those defensive. He's
the definition, though, of a mixed martial artist. And he's actually, really good at different things. He's not just good at one thing. His submission's next level. Let's put that out there. Next level.
Yeah, he's a finisher.
His striking's getting better. He does elbows, knees. He's calm under pressure. I don't know, man. He's just a solid-looking fighter. And
the only thing he doesn't have, wrestling. His wrestling's not good.
Yeah,
that's the only thing.
His submission game, who the fuck wants to take him down?
I know,
People don't even want to stand next to him, dude.
Yeah, they don't want to get close. But that's what I'm saying. Well, if I'm worried about Ortega running into an athletic wall where he is losing a striking match against an athlete that he can't take down, and that might be Max Holloway.
Yeah, but who the perfect fight is, honestly, and I've been asking for it for a long time, is Khabib.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about it.
I would love to see that fight, dude. I would fly out there and everything.
I would like to see Ortega fight Chad Mendes.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, let me read what else I got here. But we've just been going back and forth on this. Yeah, we talked about that. So yeah, I guess the thing that worries me the most for Ortega here, from what I've seen, is that he comes in with the jab, he doesn't follow it up, he gets hurt inside. And that's something that could happen to him a lot in the exchanges with Max Holloway. He doesn't have good wrestling. He doesn't have good takedowns. I've seen him. We've seen him shoot some half-ass doubles, shoot some half-ass singles. Holloway has pretty good takedown defense, and Ortega just doesn't look like a wrestler to me. He just doesn't have it.
He doesn't have the build for it either, really.
No, he just doesn't. He doesn't.
He's like what a submission artist really should be. You know what I mean? You shouldn't rely on your wrestling and your strength, to hold someone there and then go for things. He's the typical guy, you would think of as a smaller fighter that's going to be on the back pedal, on his back, and throws up some crazy shit and chokes out a guy twice his size. And that's what you think of. You know what I mean?
He does do that stuff, but eventually he's going to be in a situation where time is running out and he's losing the fight on the feet and he has to change. And it's weird because we never see him shoot, but it's not because that's not in his game plan. His corner tells him to shoot. Henry Gracie in the Moicano fight, in the Cub Swanson fight, they say, I need you to put him on his back. I need one from you before we go home. And it just doesn't happen. So if that doesn't happen, then we're trusting Ortega to go in there and do what against Max Holloway? Win 3 out of 5 rounds on the feet? That's a tough sell.
Yeah, I don't really see that being in his game plan though.
But what's his game plan then? Is he going to take him down?
He can do whatever he wants.
But what is it? That's actually one of the most entertaining questions for this matchup is what does his corner come in with a game plan? I don't think it's going to be
but
wrestle.
When's the last time you've ever seen Holloway not pressure someone to the point where he's putting them against the cage just with backpedaling them? You know what I mean? And that's where Ortega shines with his striking. He loves doing stuff like that. He loves his uppercuts. He loves his elbows. Mm-hmm. If he needs to, he'll just pull guard, bro.
Yeah, he might pull guard. That would be really interesting to see him pull guard here. The thing is,
dude, I think so well versus Cub Swanson. And you think Cub Swanson fucking expected that shit?
No, Cub Swanson's corner was basically don't even fucking get close to him after that Darce choke attempt in round 1. But I think what's going to happen is I think Ortega's team, I don't think their game plan is going to be to wrestle Max Holloway because I don't think they can take him down, to be honest. No. I don't think they'll be able to, I'm gonna say that right here. I don't think Ortega's wrestling is good enough.
Ortega ever really tried that though?
Yeah, he half-asses his single leg attempts, but what he does better is when he's in the clinch, he wraps his arms around your neck and shit like that, or he does pull guard with guillotines or some triangles, stuff like that. What I think his corner, not or his team rather, I think what their game plan is going to be is we're gonna pressure Max Holloway and we're gonna fucking hurt him, and once we hurt him, then we're gonna jump on him and
Well, here's
submit.
the next thing though. What's the easiest defense for someone pulling guard on you standing up? Slamming?
I mean, no, I mean if someone pulls guard on you in a situation like that, you kind of go down. You go down with them. You posture up on their biceps, and then you just stand up and you break it and get away. That's it. You know.
Yeah, but do you think he's gonna let him go once he's on the ground?
Well, they might be slippery, sweaty, bloody. It's hard. It's really hard. I mean, you saw in the Tavares fight, he even locked up a couple triangles that were too loose because it was just full of blood. So who knows when if Ortega's pulling guard, it's not going to be in round 1. It's going to be in round 3, 4, or 5.
Yeah, that's another thing. This is 5 rounds.
Well, and the other thing,
we're gonna have plenty of fight to see some crazy shit.
Right, and the other thing, of course, is all the stuff we talked about Max Holloway before. You know, like what type of health is he in? Is he okay? Does he have any ring rust? Is he gonna have trouble making the weight? Is he having concussion issues? Like he hasn't, he's been through some fucked up shit in the last year.
What I'm hoping is he had some type of medical issue that was undisclosed, that maybe he was taking meds on and he was just making him really tired and lethargic and just not making sense. That's what I'm hoping. That would be best case scenario. Maybe he got something and had to take meds and it fucked with him.
Yeah, it could be that. We don't know.
But, unless someone really comes out and says it, how are we going to know?
But then you got Holloway away from the game for a year, and you got Ortega, who has just been looking great in 2018.
He's getting better and better.
Yeah. So that's why this fight is so interesting, because what is his game plan? What is the game plan that his team has come up with? How far along is his striking coming? And what are the exchanges going to look like when he gets on the inside? And is he going to wrestle? So I think we've, given our hypothesis for all those questions. But when it comes down to it, I'm having trouble seeing Ortega do it. I just think that this might be one of the first times where he just runs out of time. And
5 rounds, dude.
I don't know if he's going to be as active in all those rounds. And if Holloway is hurting him coming in time and time again, I don't think Ortega is going to have an answer to that in rounds 4 and 5. Like, I think we might see him losing the first 3 rounds, and then you might see Henry Gracie in his corner saying, all right, let's put him on his back. And then I think you're going to see him be unable to do that for 10 minutes. And he's going to be in there. He's going to be throwing. I think he'll hurt Max once or twice, but it won't be enough.
Yeah, but if he gets, that's how that's the beginning to the end of the fight. If it starts going desperation mode where he's shooting for takedowns and stuff and just missing that,
then the plan's not working.
It's the fight's over at that point.
Yeah, then the game plan is not working.
Yeah.
And that's why
I honestly hope it stays on the feet, because I think Ortega actually has enough skill set to punish fucking Holloway on the when he's coming in with all that pressure. I really do. I think he's going to clip him a couple times, and like once you start getting respect for someone else's power, you start to question, should I even go in now or? And that's what I'm hoping happens in the fight. I don't,
Well, I really think that his game plan. I think his game plan is to hurt Holloway and then jump on something. Yeah. But what I'm betting at is that he never hurts him. Or if he does, Holloway recovers. And Holloway is just so good with the counter. And remember, even though Holloway is listed as like a purple belt, he still choked Cub Swanson the fuck out with a guillotine. Both these guys did. And Holloway is no slouch on the ground. What else is really interesting? If Holloway hurts Ortega, will he follow him to the ground like he did with Jose Aldo? I think no. I don't think he will. I think he'll wave him up. And that's another thing to watch out for. What does Holloway do in those moments? Okay, so I'm picking Holloway. I'm picking him by a gritty decision. You're taking Ortega. What do you think's going to happen? I mean, is it going to be a finish?
I think it's going to be a finish. I really do. I don't even think it's going to go 3 rounds.
You think it's going to be inside 3 rounds?
Inside 3 rounds.
Wow. Okay. I mean, if Ortega wins, I would be okay with that. I would believe that. Yeah. Man, I'm so excited for this fight.
Dude, this is like one of the best fights I've seen in a long time.
This is a really good card, man. I'm finally very excited for a card this Saturday. Whereas the last like 5 weeks, I've just been so blasé about.
And there's been a lot of fights. I feel like the last.
Yeah, but there's been a lot of fights, but they've been like it's almost felt like just filler.
Yeah.
You know. I don't know. Anyways, okay. I'm picking Holloway. You are picking Ortega. What are the odds?
Dude, depending on the site you look at, it could be both minus, you know what I mean, 105, 125, but on Bovada, they are, let's see, Ortega's plus 100, Holloway is minus 130.
That's a coin flip.
Dude, but a lot of sites both have them at minus like 106, 114. Like,
yeah.
You know, I don't know.
It's insane that they're that close. You know, that means a lot of people are starting to believe in Ortega, and a lot of people are worried about what the fuck has been going on with Holloway, health-wise.
I'm not actually, dude, honestly, I'm not
That's not playing a factor for you?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because either he does have some issues, and this fight gets not postponed, but Ortega fights, Moicano again or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And whatever, we have a new belt holder, right? Or we have a fucking amazing fight because Holloway's actually healthy. So, I don't really care either way. You know what I mean? Like, Ortega deserves this shot. The dude's literally run through everybody at this point.
Yep.
So,
I agree.
You know?
All right, with that, let's move on to our, what do you want to do, news/rumors first or listener mail first?
Let's do the rumors first. And I want to just talk about this Ortega-Khabib thing, okay, real quick? Okay. Because this is what intrigues me about it so much, okay? So Ortega, I guess I just read the headline, but Ortega said that he would rather fight Khabib over Conor, right?
Like next, right? Or anytime?
Which actually, it's kind of funny because you would make more money probably from a Conor fight, but I think he wants that second belt, and honestly, this reminds me of, like, remember back in the day, dude, when UFC first started, and you had big dudes, like powerful, strong people versus, like, these little jiu-jitsu guys.
Like Chemo versus Royce Gracie, dude.
Bro, but this is what I'm talking about. It feels like that kind of a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A David versus Goliath type scenario. And I put my money on Ortega, dude. I think his skills are on the ground. He could do something that could really punish fucking Khabib for taking him down.
And it would be a David Goliath thing. He'd be coming up in weight to fight Khabib.
That's
Khabib can't make 145. No way.
It feels like a super fight. This feels like it could be one of the biggest fights ever. To me, that's what's intriguing about it. Because it feels like the good old days, and I think that Ortega has the skill set to actually be somebody that could take out Khabib.
You're just missing like the glory days of the UFC so hard. You're remembering what it was like to be a fan a decade ago.
Dude, it's because a decade ago it was people weren't really mixed martial artists. They had one skill set. You know what I mean?
They were specialists.
Like, look at Chuck Liddell, dude. He had the craziest fighting style ever, but that was his fighting style.
He was just a kickboxer with good takedown defense. That's all he was.
Yeah, and those fucking looping overhand whatever, dude. That's not even like real, but he made it his own. You know what I mean? Like,
it's not even real.
It's just like it's not proper technique. You would laugh in a situation like that nowadays. You know what I'm saying? It's just like everything was so different back then, and I feel like this fight could be something like that.
Yeah, it puts it back into...
You take the best wrestler versus the best submission specialist, and I think it could be weird, bro. And I'm digging it.
And that's why the Conor Khabib fight was kind of like that too, because it was like take the best striker and the best wrestler, and like let's see what we get.
Conor fucked up his game plan with that. Honestly, I wouldn't mind watching it again, but let Conor be Conor. You know what I'm saying? Let him. If he's gonna get taken out, he's gonna get taken out. But
I'd like to see him fight someone else first, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, yeah. So that was what I think that was from somebody interviewed Ortega and asked him like who he wants to fight next or something, right?
Something like that, yeah. I don't know. I didn't really read the whole article. I just saw the headline. I was like, ooh, this is intriguing.
Yeah, just to provide context for the listeners. Okay, the next thing I want to bring up, Sage Northcutt has officially left the UFC and he signed with ONE FC over there in Singapore. Kind of weird because he's on a 3-fight win streak. Any thoughts about that? I mean, I think they'll love him over there in Asia. He looks like a fucking action figure. He's a goofball.
I don't really have anything to say, man. Honestly.
Yeah. I mean,
it
I
does
think
seem like the ONE FC is like kind of getting involved with the UFC a lot more now, though.
Well, dude, it's scooping some people up,
like talent
man.
too, you know.
They got
weird.
Demetrius Johnson. They got Sage Northcutt. They brought over Misha Tate to be their like VP of some shit. I don't remember. So yeah, ONE FC is doing good things, man, and I think it'll be a good home for Sage. I think what happened to him is the UFC invested a lot of money into him, like they did with Paige Van Zandt. They're paying him a lot of money, and they don't feel like he's quite developing like they thought he would. I think the UFC thought that Sage Northcutt would be like Stephen Thompson, and he's not. He's not Wonder Boy. You know, he's not that guy. He can beat some mid-level fighters in the UFC, but he hits a serious wall once you get to the upper echelon. And I think the UFC was kind of at the point where they're like, dude, we're not going to pay you another 80 grand to show, 80 grand to win. So go ahead and walk. And that's what happened.
Who really knows what happens in these backdoor deals, dude?
Yeah, but I think it'll be good for Sage. Dude, he's so young. What is he, like 22? I mean, you know, whatever. All right, what else you got? You got anything else for rumors? What else recently happened?
I don't know.
I think that's like pretty much everything.
Any John Jones controversies?
He's fighting Alexander Gustafsson on the next pay-per-view. How about that? Oh, I guess we could talk about Mark Hunt is leaving the UFC. We kind of all knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Not much to say about that. I mean, it's crazy that he came into the UFC with like a 4-5 record, and the UFC was like, "Hey, can we just pay you money to like disappear and like not fight?" And he was like, "No, fuck that. Like, I want to fight." And so they gave him some fights, and he went on this crazy resurgent win streak, and it turns out he still got it, man. And he was like a fan favorite, doing all these crazy things at like 45 years old. So pretty interesting. Oh, we could talk about Anderson Silva is going to fight Israel Adesanya next.
Oh, that's not a good idea.
No, it's not. I know a lot of people are like, hey, it could be really fun. Yeah, it's not going to be fun, okay? Anderson Silva...
older and I don't know, man.
Well, he hasn't looked like an effective striker in like 5 years.
Bro, I feel like when you get knocked out, you just lose your shit. Like a little bit. Like you're not as quick with your reactions. And like, I don't know, man. He just feels like a different fighter ever since, what's his face?
Chris Weidman.
Weidman, yeah. Dude, yeah. Weidman like destroyed his life literally twice.
Well, also broke his foot in half.
That's what I'm saying. He literally destroyed his life twice, dude. And then, you know, he said he had to take steroids to help it heal faster, and that's why he tested positive and stuff like that. And then you're like, man, like it just affects his whole legacy and everything too. It's just people start to question things, and that's why I don't like the whole. You know, like John Jones has gotten so many chances at this point. It's unbelievable. You know what I mean? And like I feel like drugs really ruin all sports. And I wish that like people would just cut the shit out. I understand like people are always gonna try to like do whatever they can
to get a step up.
Yeah, but man, it's just like, do you really want to take that risk of ruining your legacy in the sport?
I think with John Jones, you see like when you're the absolute best, you see how much leniency you get. You know, they did everything they could to like keep him fighting. Yeah. And look, like after all this shit that he's done. We're gonna see him fight in a month.
We could talk about that. What was that article that I sent you guys?
Which one?
Remember? Oh my God! Please look at your phone. You have to have it in there.
All right. Which one was it?
It was about John Jones.
Oh, dude, I'm so sick of reading shit about John Jones.
Here it is. Here it is. So it's
Uh,
just in quotes. This is I don't know. I haven't read the article, but it just says John Jones. I'm not ready for complete sobriety yet.
oh yeah. He
It's
doesn't give
like,
a fuck, dude. Come on. I
but
like
bro,
real
like they've given you so many chances. You can't just straighten up for like a little bit. Come
Nah,
on.
nah, dog. Nah. He needs to hit the coke in the bathroom, dude. Come on.
It's just I
He
don't know.
can't. He can't live life in the plane.
And you know what sucks too? If he just like got his shit together, he could have literally gone down as like one of the greatest. Now you just look at him and you're like, fuck, dude, you fucked your shit up.
But he's still never lost, dude. It's crazy. Like I don't know. So we're gonna see him come back with a ton of ring rust, and he's gonna fight Alexander Gustafsson again. But here's the weirdest thing. I think that a lot of people don't realize. John Jones has fought.
What
Fucking
is it,
doorbell.
pizza?
No, I didn't order pizza. Maybe Amazon. And my cat's freaking out. John Jones has fought more recently than Alexander Gustafsson has. That's weird. Like
Yeah, that is actually really weird. I didn't even think about that.
I know he fought Jones. He fought Jones at 214, and then Gustafsson beat up Glover Teixeira like a couple months before that. So I mean, you can't even really argue ring rust here. Like, what do you
The
say?
real question is, do we ever see another DC fight versus Jones?
I hope not. I'm over it. I don't want to see it
I'm kind of over it too at this point.
because he's like 40 now. We're done. We're done. Move on.
Yeah, but he's still a boss.
I know, but like he's like one fight away from retiring. Like I don't need to see.
I don't want to see him trying to cut, dude. He just looks so big nowadays, DC.
I don't want to see him at heavyweight versus John Jones. I don't need to see that anymore. Nobody needs to see that. Let him fight Brock Lesnar and retire into the sunset with his kids. Like he doesn't need to define himself by John Jones. That's what I think. Anyways, okay. I think that's like everything we got for rumors. Let's move on to listener mail real quick before we get out of here. All right, let's see what we got. All right, first we go to the Twitter machine from @MMA News Now. What do you think the ceiling is for Brad Katona? How do you think he will do against Lopez? Okay, so Brad Katona is on the prelims. I think he's on the Fight Pass prelims. Let's look at this real quick. Yeah, Brad Katona is on the prelims of UFC 231. He won the Tough 27, the Ultimate Fighter 27. He won that against, oh shit, what was that guy's name? I gotta look it up. It's gonna bother me. Oh, Jay Cusinello. That's right. That's right. This was the Ultimate Fighter season where they were all undefeated because that matters. Anyways, so he won the 145-pound featherweight Ultimate Fighter. He won that against Cucinello. Now he's dropping to bantamweight against Matthew Lopez. Matthew Lopez is he was a great wrestler who turned to MMA after his college wrestling, and I think he came into the UFC like 8-0 or 8-1. Had some good fights. Had two tough fights against. They kind of put him in there too soon against Rafael Assunção, and I thought he looked fine there, but you know he got finished in the third round, and then he came back against. God, I'm forgetting these guys' names. Alejandro Perez, maybe was it Perez?
He lost versus Perez.
Yes, yeah, he lost versus Perez. I mean, he almost had like a 10-9, 10-8 first round against Perez. Took his back. Takes people's down, takes their back immediately. But, man, he just, like, he gasses real early. He's super open to getting hit in his strikes. And, like, he doesn't pressure in the way he needs to for the wrestler that he is. Like, I think Matthew Lopez is at the crossroads in his career where he's, like, figuring out whether he needs to just be an awesome grappler or whether he needs to, like, supplement his game with striking a la Uriah Faber, Chad Mendes, TJ Dillashaw. And I think he's like trying to do too many things at once, and he's just losing to these better people, losing to better strikers. So what are the odds on this fight? Do you have it up? I think there's something ridiculous.
Let's see.
It's on the early
Got
prelims.
it. Brad minus 250, Lopez plus 195.
Yeah, see, I think that's fucking crazy. I think that's way, way big. Like, Brad Katona is undefeated, but he's fought nobody.
That always factors into these things, though.
But he hasn't fought anybody.
I know, but it always factors in.
I know, it does. It does. And, like,
So-
Brad Katona, from what I've seen, he's not a world beater. He's a patient outside kickboxer who has some decent wrestling, like, when he sets it up. But when he shoots without setting it up, he shoots from a million miles away and doesn't get anywhere close to it. Like, you don't think that Matthew Lopez can shove him up against the fence, take him down, jump on his back? Like, I kind of think he can. So I don't think that he should be that big of a favorite. But I think what odds makers are trying to tell us is the general consensus is that Katona is going to survive and wear him out. And then in rounds 2 and 3, he's just going to dance around him and outstrike him and maybe defend his wrestling and win a decision. Like, I guess that's what people think is going to happen. I'm personally not that high on Brad Katona, and I think that Lopez could be something, but he's got a lot of work to do. So, I don't know. That's what I think about that. I'm not too impressed by either of them.
I don't really have much to say, dude. Like, there's so many fighters in the UFC now. It's hard for me to keep up with everybody. Like, when they're getting in, and you know what I mean, like what they're doing.
Yeah.
Until you start making a name for yourself, it's like it's hard for me to get invested.
Our next one comes from Felipe in San Diego. Got some questions about Holloway. Let's see. All right. How's Holloway dealing with the weight cut? I think last time that's what got him to fail the medical, right? Plus he's been out for a while. Okay, so we did cover that in the beginning.
Yeah.
The weight cut for Holloway was actually the short notice fight against Khabib.
Yeah.
So that was when he was out of camp for 6 days and he had to cut down to 155.
But that wasn't the last time. The last time was the kind of stroke or whatever it was.
Right. The last time was the unknown medical issues that we still don't know what those were. Yeah.
So, I don't know.
So, yeah, we addressed that. But, cool. I guess that is all we got. I'm pretty excited for this card. I mean,
I'm so excited.
So here's the thing. Today is December 4th. It's Tuesday. So we have 4 days until the fight. A lot of things could happen in 4 days.
Yo, they need to put these fighters in a bubble.
I know, and they need to put them in
let them sleep.
Classic wrap.
Don't even let them lift any weights.
Well, they're not going to lift weights, but put them in the bubble shit you get from Amazon.
No, I don't even want them on a treadmill, dude. They could trip over a shoelace. Nothing.
Well, maybe you could put them in like the Bubble Boy suit from Bubble Boy, and then you have them run on the treadmill in the suit.
No, dude. They shouldn't be on any stages. Nobody needs to be falling off.
Tripping over cables?
No cables should be around. All right? We have way too... Like, when there's fights this big, it seems like there's something that always happens right before the fight.
I think maybe the UFC needs to employ, like, a new subset division that's kind of like the Secret Service, but they just
There's always there to catch people from falling?
Yeah. They just keep the fighters from getting hurt, like, in the 7 days until the fight.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, they help them into the shower, and, like, they fucking, like, walk ahead of them in front of cables.
Yeah, dude. They need to do something, man.
They test their food before they eat it.
But it seems like this shit happens with Holloway and Ferguson. You know what I'm saying?
I know, Ferguson, man. Tripping over cables.
Although, DC almost got hurt, right? He tripped over a cable and almost fell off stage.
No, he almost fell off a stage, remember? And Dana White, like, helped him up. It was super weird.
God, man. I don't know.
It looks like a joke. I'm telling you, I think they need a Secret Service division that walks them around like grandmas. That takes a bite of their sandwiches, that helps them into the shower, that doesn't let them do anything, that walks 10 feet in front of them at every turn.
For the case of John Jones, like, taking away shit from him You don't know where this came from, bro. Don't eat this.
In John Jones, you just put him in one of those child playpens, and like you don't let him do anything.
Golly.
All right. I think that's enough from us. This has been Tomorrow's Fights podcast. You can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, pretty much everywhere that you get your podcast. We will be there. Once again, you can support us on Patreon if you like. You can give as little as $1. It helps us keep this show going. That is it for us. Follow us on Twitter at Tomorrow's Fights. We'll be live tweeting play-by-play, polls, grappling, breakdowns, everything for UFC 231. So follow us on Twitter at Tomorrow's Fights. And what else? Oh, send us listener mail for UFC 232, John Jones, Alexander Gustafsson. That will be the next show, episode 20. So that'll be a good one. Send us all your listener mail for that. Otherwise, you can find us on our website, tomorrowsfights.com. And I think that's all I got for us. Smith, you got anything else?
No, I'm good, man. This is a good show.
Good show. All right. Thanks for following. Thanks for listening. As always, find us on Tomorrow's Fights. We will see you on Saturday. Adios, everybody.
Peace.
I'm the one who buys it. I know how good it is.